Today you will discover the full story behind the fallen angels and their forbidden knowledge.
In the silence of the heavens, where light dances with the stars, a group of celestial beings watched over the earth, their eyes filled with wisdom and sorrow. They were called the Watchers, angels sent by God to observe, to protect, and to guide. But what happens when the sacred duty of guardianship turns into a forbidden desire for power, knowledge, and connection with the very beings they were meant to protect? The Watchers are more than just celestial beings. They are a symbol of temptation, the allure of forbidden knowledge, and the eternal consequences that come with stepping beyond divine boundaries. Their story is one of betrayal, not just of divine law, but of the very essence of the harmony between heaven and earth. In the Book of Enoch, their tale begins with purity. The Watchers, lofty and powerful, were entrusted with the care of humanity. But as time passed, their curiosity grew. Their hearts, once filled with the light of understanding, began to ache with a new desire, a desire for forbidden knowledge. The angels looked upon the daughters of men, and their innocence turned to temptation. They desired there, and with their desire came the fateful pact, one that would alter the course of history. They descended to earth, bringing with them not just the consequences of their actions, but also the gifts of heaven that were never meant for mortal hands. This descent marked the beginning of their fall. Their act of rebellion, intermarrying with humans, produced the Nephilim, giants whose strength and violence nearly destroyed the world. But their most significant crime wasn't the giants they fathered, it was the forbidden knowledge they imparted to humanity. Secrets of the heavens, the art of war, astrology, sorcery, and the manipulation of the elements. They taught humans things that they were never meant to know, giving rise to chaos and corruption. Knowledge, once seen as a divine blessing, had become a curse. As the Book of Enoch tells us, the Watchers did not act alone. They formed a brotherhood, and each angel, with their specific knowledge, shared it with humanity, sowing seeds of destruction in their wake. But what drove them to such lengths? Was it an insatiable curiosity? A desire to empower humankind? Or was it simply an act of defiance against the divine order? The Watchers' story is both tragic and prophetic. The wisdom they imparted led to their downfall, and they were cast into the abyss, imprisoned until the day of judgment. But even as they lay in chains, their legacy lived on, echoing throughout time in the scriptures, myths, and spiritual traditions that followed. The very notion of forbidden knowledge, the longing for secrets that are not ours to possess, is woven deeply into the fabric of human history.
So why does this ancient tale matter? What can we learn from the Watchers, fallen angels who desired more than they were meant to have? Their story is a warning about the pursuit of forbidden wisdom, the consequences of defying divine boundaries, and the eternal battle between light and darkness. Stay with me as we journey through the Book of Enoch, uncovering the secrets of the Watchers and the lessons that their story holds for us today. Before we continue, check the description box for a link to the complete Book of Enoch, in both Kindle and paperback versions, fast delivery worldwide. Now, let's continue. The origins and purpose of the Watchers. In the beginning, the Watchers were nothing less than celestial guardians, entrusted by God with the sacred task of observing and protecting humanity. These angels were sent to earth not to intervene directly in human affairs, but to offer guidance and watch over the unfolding of creation. They were pure, radiant beings of light, far removed from the temptations of the earthly realm. But as with so many stories of ancient myths and divine purpose, their role was destined to change. The story of the Watchers begins in harmony but quickly descends into rebellion, a tale that echoes across millennia, challenging the very nature of knowledge, power, and our relationship with the divine. The Book of Enoch opens the curtain to this divine drama by introducing the Watchers as the sons of heaven, beings of unimaginable power and grace who descended from the heavens to observe humanity. They were intended to be messengers of God, tasked with guiding humanity, but As the ancient texts reveal, their role was not to remain passive observers. The Watchers' journey from celestial guardians to fallen angels begins when they find themselves drawn to the human world in a way that was never intended. The Book of Enoch speaks of how they were deeply fascinated by the beauty of human beings, particularly the daughters of men. The first spark of disobedience ignited when they desired to unite with humans, disregarding the boundaries set by the Creator. In the Book of Enoch's narrative, the Watchers are given names: Azazel, Semiyaza, and Arachiel, among others, each one a figure with distinct responsibilities. Together they form a brotherhood that becomes united in their desire for more than just observation. In a secret pact, they agree to descend to Earth, and this single act marks the beginning of their rebellion. They abandon their heavenly stations, leaving behind the safety of the divine order to walk among humanity. In doing so, they defy God's commandments, and this defiance, as we shall see, carries consequences that resonate throughout human history. So why did the Watchers, beings who were meant to serve and protect, turn their backs on their purpose? What drew them to human beings with such irresistible force? The answer lies in the temptation of earthly knowledge and the passion that arose in their hearts. While their task was simple, watch and protect, what began as an innocent curiosity about humanity slowly turned into something darker. The Book of Enoch describes how the Watchers grew increasingly enamored with human beauty, and their emotions evolved into an obsession. The desire to possess human women was not only a personal craving, but it was driven by a yearning for a deeper connection. They sought to impart wisdom to humanity, sharing secrets meant only for the divine. It was during this time that the Watchers, in their fall from grace, taught humanity the arts of astrology, divination, weaponry, and sorcery. But these teachings were not gifts, they were curses. What they shared was forbidden knowledge that brought harm rather than healing. The Book of Enoch tells us that they introduced the forbidden arts of magic and alchemy, teachings that would forever alter the course of human history. They revealed the secrets of the heavens, the stars, and the earth's hidden forces, all of which empowered humanity but also unleashed chaos. As they taught humanity these secret arts, the Watchers also showed them the ways of warfare, how to forge metal into weapons, how to wage war, and how to dominate one another. These gifts, though impressive in their capacity, came at a great price. What began as curiosity and desire for human connection soon spiraled into corruption. The once peaceful earth became a battlefield of violence, bloodshed, and sin. The giants born of the Watchers' union with human women, the Nephilim, grew to unimaginable proportions, and their presence upon the earth only added to the growing chaos. The Nephilim were not just large in stature, but also destructive power. Their existence was the result of the Watchers' inability to heed the boundaries set by divine law. But there is a twist to the Watchers' story, one that causes us to question their motives. Were they truly acting out of selfish desire and rebellion, or was there another force at play? The Book of Enoch presents the Watchers not as purely evil beings, but as figures caught in a conflict between their divine duties and their human-like desires. Could their actions have been motivated by a longing to elevate humanity, to bestow wisdom that would allow humans to ascend to a higher state of being? Or were they, as the narrative implies, simply acting out of defiance against divine rule? Their fall was not just a personal failure, but an act that reshaped the cosmic order. The Watchers were punished for their actions, but their punishment serves as a cosmic reflection on the consequences of transgressing the divine will. God, in the Book of Enoch, responds by commanding that the Watchers be bound in chains and cast into the abyss, a punishment far more severe than anything they could have anticipated. They were no longer to be guardians or teachers, but prisoners of their own making. but what remains of their legacy. The Watchers left behind not just the Nephilim, but the knowledge they imparted, which still influences humanity today. The secrets of the heavens, the stars, and the earth, once hidden and sacred, were now spread among humans, and humanity would forever struggle with the burden of this knowledge. If you're enjoying this exploration of the Watchers, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more deep dives into ancient texts and spiritual mysteries. Let's continue. The Book of Enoch asks us to reflect on the consequences of knowledge, how it can either uplift or destroy depending on how it is wielded. The Watcher's tale is a profound reminder of the delicate balance between curiosity and obedience, wisdom and temptation. As their story continues to unfold, it leaves us wondering, could the Watchers' rebellion be seen as a tragic attempt to bridge the gap between the divine and the human? Or was their defiance simply an expression of arrogance and pride, a desire to become more than what they were created to be? The forbidden gifts and their consequences. The descent of the Watchers to Earth marks the beginning of a saga where knowledge and temptation collide, setting in motion a chain of events that would forever alter humanity's course. These angels, once divine beings meant to protect, did not simply fall from grace by abandoning their posts. Their sin wasn't just one of disobedience, it was one of knowledge, the kind of knowledge meant only for the heavens, a forbidden wisdom that they chose to share with humankind. The knowledge they imparted was powerful, transformative, and destructive. The Watchers' gifts were not blessings, they were burdens, cursed by the weight of their origins and the consequences they would carry. The Book of Enoch recounts that the Watchers did not simply come to Earth to observe, they came to teach. They revealed the hidden secrets of the cosmos to humanity, secrets that were not meant to be known by mortal beings. These teachings weren't just academic, they were transformative, altering the very fabric of human existence. The Watchers brought forbidden knowledge that reshaped the way humans understood their world and themselves. But as with any knowledge that reaches beyond its bounds, the cost of such wisdom was far greater than anticipated.
One of the first and most notable gifts the Watchers gave humanity was the art of astrology, the study of the stars and the movements of celestial bodies. They taught humans how to read the heavens, to chart the stars, and to predict the future through the positions of the planets. To the ancient mind, this knowledge was revolutionary. It promised power over the unseen forces that guided the world, offering a glimpse into the divine order of the universe. But the Watchers did not simply impart the knowledge of the stars. They also showed humanity how to manipulate these forces. They taught them the secrets of divination, the ability to see beyond the present into the unseen realms. However, what was once meant for the angels, the knowledge of the heavens, became a tool for humans to wield, with disastrous consequences. Instead of fostering enlightenment, this knowledge sowed pride and self-reliance. Human beings, empowered by the ability to read the stars, began to believe they could control the future, subverting divine will in favor of their desires. What was once a humble practice, an attempt to understand the mysteries of the universe, turned into an arrogance of belief that humankind could become equal to the divine. The second forbidden gift was weaponry. The Watchers revealed the secrets of metallurgy, how to forge iron and bronze into tools of destruction. Weapons, once limited to basic instruments of survival, became instruments of warfare, capable of destroying not only human life, but the harmony of the earth itself. The Watchers imparted their knowledge of sword-making, armory, and the art of battle, unleashing an age of conflict and bloodshed. Human history, as we know, would never be the same again. War, with its terror and brutality, entered the world as a consequence of the Watchers' forbidden teachings. Weapons were not simply tools to defend or protect, they became symbols of dominance, of power that could be used to subjugate others. The giants, the Nephilim, who were born from the union of the Watchers and human women, became the embodiment of this violence. Their immense size and strength, coupled with the weapons taught to humans, ravaged the earth, creating a landscape of fear and destruction. It was no longer just the Nephilim that represented the consequences of the Watchers' actions. It was every human who had learned the art of war. The Watchers' teachings became a curse that spiraled into the bloodiest conflicts the world had ever known. But the Watchers did not stop there. They also shared secrets of magic, the knowledge of sorcery and spells, a dark and potent force that would give humans control over nature itself. They taught humans how to summon spirits, cast spells, and manipulate the elements. This, too, was knowledge meant to remain hidden. The use of magic was not just a tool for healing or good, it was a power that could be easily corrupted. What the Watchers failed to understand, or perhaps what they did not care to understand, was that power without wisdom is nothing but destruction waiting to happen. The teaching of magic ignited the ancient world's most primal desires. Humans, now able to manipulate the forces of nature, began to seek domination over their world. No longer did they rely on the natural order. Instead, they sought to control it. Sorcery became a way to manipulate the hearts and minds of others, and humanity began to use it to fulfill their deepest desires: greed, power, and revenge. The world that the Watchers had hoped to enlighten was spiraling into an abyss of chaos and darkness. And then there was the teaching of cosmetics and beauty, a knowledge imparted by the Watchers to women. In a world where beauty was seen as a divine gift, this knowledge allowed human women to enhance their beauty artificially. The Watchers revealed secrets that would enable women to charm, captivate, and manipulate. But beauty, once a natural expression of the divine, became a tool of vanity and deception. The power of beauty, once seen as a gift, was now used to manipulate and control. It became a form of seduction, not just in physical appearance, but in the hearts of those who beheld it. The consequences of these teachings were profound. The very fabric of creation, once a harmonious blend of divine will and earthly existence, began to unravel. The world was no longer a place of balance where humans lived by nature and divine law. Instead, it became a battlefield, a clash of powers that sought control over the heavens and the earth. The most significant consequence of the Watchers' forbidden gifts was the birth of the Nephilim, the giants whose presence upon earth threatened to wipe out humanity. These Nephilim were not just physical giants. They symbolized the corruption and destruction that the Watchers had sown. They were the ultimate expression of the Watchers' defiance, an embodiment of the power and knowledge that had been handed down, now twisted and distorted. Pause. If this tale of forbidden wisdom intrigues you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more. Stay with me as we unravel the consequences of these gifts and what followed in their wake. In the end, the Watchers' teachings did not lead to enlightenment, they led to ruin. The knowledge they shared was not a gift, but a curse, one that would bring chaos, destruction, and suffering to the world. They sought to bring humans closer to the divine, but in doing so, they opened a door to darkness, one that would not be closed until the end of days. The Watchers, who were once sent to protect, became the very agents of humanity's downfall. They thought they were offering knowledge, offering power, but instead they set in motion a series of events that would forever change the earth.
Their story serves as a stark reminder. Knowledge, when wielded without wisdom, can lead to destruction. It is a lesson we, as a species, continue to grapple with even today. The Watcher's legacy and spiritual meaning. The story of the Watchers is not merely an ancient myth. It's a profound reflection on humanity's eternal struggle with knowledge, temptation, and the consequences of crossing boundaries that were never meant to be breached. In the Book of Enoch, their fall serves as both a warning and a reflection of the deeper spiritual truths that resonate through all of us. The Watchers were not mere angels. They were symbols of the human condition itself, embodying the temptation to reach beyond what is allowed, to challenge the natural order in search of power and understanding. Their legacy, as captured in the pages of the Book of Enoch, is not just about the past, it's about the spiritual struggles that continue to shape our lives today. The Watcher's legacy is one of corruption and redemption, but also one of profound mystery. Their story leaves us with questions that are as old as time itself. What is the nature of forbidden knowledge? What happens when humanity seeks power that is not meant for it? And perhaps most importantly, what are the consequences of choosing pride and desire over divine wisdom and order? In the Book of Enoch, the Watchers are portrayed as powerful beings who, out of a mix of fascination, compassion, and arrogance, decided to impart forbidden knowledge to humankind. They did not do this out of malice, but from a sense of desire to teach, to elevate humanity, to share the wisdom of the heavens. But they could not see the darker consequences of their actions. What they saw as enlightenment was, in reality, a curse that would lead to violence, corruption, and the destruction of the natural balance of the world. The Watcher's legacy is not simply the knowledge they imparted. It is the spiritual and cosmic repercussions of their disobedience. Their punishment is one of the most striking aspects of their story. After defying God's command, the Watchers were cast into the abyss, bound and imprisoned, awaiting the final judgment. This image of the Watchers, chained and locked away, serves as a spiritual metaphor. It is a reminder that defiance against divine order and the pursuit of forbidden knowledge are not without consequence. The Watcher's story forces us to ask ourselves, how far will we go in our quest for knowledge? Are we, as humans, in danger of making the same mistakes they did? The punishment of the Watchers, being bound in chains and imprisoned in a deep abyss, could also be viewed as a reflection of the internal consequences of sin. Their desire to reach beyond their boundaries, their temptation to possess power, led them to a spiritual downfall that could not be undone. The Watcher's fall and subsequent imprisonment suggest that the pursuit of knowledge without wisdom leads not only to external consequences, but also to a deep internal corruption. Their story warns that while knowledge may seem like a key to enlightenment, it can also imprison the soul if it is obtained through rebellion and pride. But there is also redemption in the story of the Watchers, though it is not easily seen. While their actions were undeniably disastrous, they, like many fallen figures in spiritual traditions, stand as symbols of regret and redemption. The Watchers' eventual fall to the abyss and their eventual judgment represent the cosmic law of restoration, a correction to the imbalance they caused. However, there is no escaping the fact that their story serves as a warning to those who seek to gain power and wisdom outside the bounds of divine will. It reminds us that, just like the Watchers, we too must learn the lesson that wisdom without humility can lead to spiritual destruction. The legacy of the Watchers also speaks to our modern world in unexpected ways. In a society where knowledge is often seen as the ultimate key to success, the story of the Watchers presents a more cautionary tale. It reminds us that wisdom must be tempered by understanding the responsibility it carries. In today's world, we see the same themes of temptation and forbidden knowledge unfolding. Our constant pursuit of more, whether through technology, science, or even the desire for control, can often mirror the Watchers' yearning to transcend their limits. We live in a world where technology and knowledge are moving faster than ever before, where the boundaries between human and machine are becoming increasingly blurred. The Watcher's story can be seen as a metaphor for the dangers of unchecked progress. What happens when we reach too far, when we seek to manipulate nature, or when the thirst for knowledge leads to consequences we cannot foresee? The story of the Watchers serves as a spiritual reminder that while the pursuit of knowledge is a natural and powerful force, it is not without its pitfalls. But there is also a deeper spiritual meaning in the Watcher's story. They represent the eternal struggle between obedience and rebellion, between the natural order of the universe and the human desire to transcend it. In their rebellion, they also serve as a reflection of the inner conflict that resides in all of us. The temptation to go beyond the limits, to defy the natural laws, to seek that which we are not meant to possess. The Watcher's tale mirrors our spiritual journey. We all face moments when we must decide whether to remain obedient to divine will or to step beyond our limits in pursuit of personal gain. Their story then speaks across generations, offering lessons that are as relevant today as they were in ancient times. The Watcher's legacy is a paradox, a gift and a curse, a journey of great potential that ultimately led to destruction. But it is also a testament to the power of divine justice and the need for balance in all things. They remind us that knowledge is not inherently evil, but how we use it and what we seek to achieve with it can lead us to either salvation or ruin.
In the end, the Watcher's tale is not one of evil for its own sake, but one of misguided intention. Beings who sought to help humanity but instead unleashed chaos because they strayed from their divine purpose. Their story is a reflection of our own choices. It asks us to consider the consequences of the knowledge we seek, the boundaries we dare to cross, and the price we are willing to pay for the power we desire. The Watcher's legacy lives on, not just in ancient texts, but in the choices we make every day.
A lesson in knowledge, temptation, and consequence. The story of the Watchers, as told in the Book of Enoch, is more than an ancient myth. It's a timeless lesson on the power and peril of knowledge. These celestial beings, tasked with the noble duty of watching over humanity, became the embodiment of temptation when they stepped beyond their divine boundaries, seeking forbidden wisdom and the desire to connect with humankind in ways never intended. Their fall wasn't just a rebellion against God. It was a reflection of the human condition itself, our endless desire for more, our curiosity to understand the unknown, and the consequences that arise when we seek power we are not ready to wield.
The Watcher's story teaches us that while knowledge has the potential to uplift and enlighten, it can also lead to destruction if it's used irresponsibly or without wisdom. Their tragic downfall is a stark reminder that every choice, every pursuit of forbidden knowledge carries consequences, sometimes irreversible. In the end, the Watcher's tale serves as a warning to us all. True wisdom lies not in the pursuit of power, but in knowing our limits and respecting the divine order that governs the universe.
Now, if this journey through the Watcher's story has resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more spiritual insights into ancient tales that continue to shape our understanding of the world today. If you enjoyed this video, click on the link in the description below to grab a copy of The Complete Book of Enoch in either the Kindle or paperback version. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.